me, the most dangerous man alive today. Hold on, I got my son going nuts because he wants some milk. But let everybody introduce themselves here. I'll be right back. Hold on.
What's up, everybody? It is I, ALISTAIR, Master of Gentlemen's Combatives, joining you today to watch Vale Tudo Japan 1998. This was supposed to be the most dangerous man alive today's job, but I'll be introducing Chris, one half of We Are Rising podcast, the only English language podcast that gives a shit about Rising and Japanese MMA. Hey, say hello, Chris.
All right, I'm back. My son he had some milk that he was waiting on, and I had to go get it for him. So anyway, so what happened while I was gone?
I did introduce Chris, but he appears to have disappeared.
Oh, okay. I'm sure he'll come back. I hope he comes back. It's Chris Gary, the one half there. He's gone. Maybe he'll come back. We also have Ye Lord, who's just lurking in the background here. Oh, he's here. He's the other Chris. He's Chris Ye Lord. He holds down the Discord. Whenever I'm not there, which is most often usually the case. So welcome everybody. Chris Gary, he's here. He's one half of the We Are Rising podcast, the only English language podcast for Rising.
Definitely. Let me just go ahead and say, for those of y'all who, only know me from the We Are Rising podcast, what's good, y'all?
There you go. I'm about it.
I'm sorry for the rambunctious intro. It's normally how I am when it comes down to calling into other people's sports radio shows, but still, I'm just happy to be on here, representing the only English language podcast that truly gives a fuck about the Rising Fighting Federation. But still, I have not really heard much about Vale Tudo Japan 98. I mean, I've watched and heard about Vale Tudo Japan 94 and heard about the Heeks and Glacy story and how he faced off against Yuki Nakai and almost blinded him. Well, actually, he did blind him, unfortunately, but still, I'm here to hear about Vale Tudo Japan 98, and if we're ready, let's go ahead and get this shit going.
Absolutely. So we're glad to have him, and I think, Alistair, you have some more information on our event here, Vale Tudo Japan 1998.
I do have the Sherdog card open. Vale Tudo Japan 1998 held October 25, 1998 at the Tokyo Bay NK Hall in Urasa, Chiba, Japan. The deal with Vale Tudo Japan Vale Tudo Japan show is it's always the big Shudo show at the end of the year. They put everybody on that card that they can. They try and match big Shudo names up against big names outside of MMA. So there's always some good fights. And the main event for this one is friend of the show, Ensign Inoue, taking on Randy the Natural Couture.
Yes, I'm a little. I always do this. I should have had this set up. When was this held, Alistair? It was held October 1998.
Yeah, October 25th.
October the 25th, 1998, Tokyo Bay NK Hall, Urayasu, Chiba, Japan.
All right. It's going to be an exciting show. I'm looking forward to it. Who do we have to look forward to facing off tonight? What do we have?
So we've got Carl Uno on the show. We've got Vladimir Matyushenko, who's a UFC sort of veteran. We got Frank Trigg, Jean-Jacques Machado, Maha Sakurai, Andre Pederneiras. We got the Shudo monster, Noboru Asahi. And we've got the guy you think looks like...
Don't forget Brandon Lee Hinkle.
Indeed, we've got Brandon Lee Hinkle, Hammerhouse, and then we've got the guy who you think looks like John Dodson but doesn't at all, Joao Roque.
Did you mention Frank Trigg? I see Frank Trigg is in here too on this one.
And also another person who's in there, also two people who's on there. They're actually facing off against each other. Rumina Sato and Andre Pederneiras, a.k.a. Mr. Nova Unyao.
Well, I think we're all set, ready to go. I'm ready to go if everybody else is ready to go, and I'm going to be, my son is causing a racket, so I'm going to lean on you guys to take over most of this, depending on how crazy my son gets. The joys of being a father. So let's go! 3, 2, 1, play! And you let me know if that's too loud.
Seems to be alright for the
Is it loud? I'll turn it down. So everybody can hear. And everybody in the chat, I got the chat box up. You let me know if you guys can hear everything as well. I don't want anyone to go deaf or not be able to hear anything.
So we've got some replays from previous Judo events this time. We're not actually getting spoilers for this event, so they've changed up their production style, which is something that I'm actually enjoying. Where did you get this video file?
シューターたちは驚くほどの成長を見せる。世界のパワーと真っ向から打ち合って負けないほどのテクニック。まさに1年でシュートはバーリトゥード界の優として名を挙げたのである。
We've got replays from last event, so here's Vincent Inoue and Frank Shamrock. We've got Ruben Asato armbarring piece of shit John Lewis. Very artistic production design here. Really changed everything up this year. Am I just talking to the void, or is anybody else talking about it?
Just want to know why Ruben Asada was doing his Art Jimerson impression.
Maybe he's got an injury in his hand. Here we have Ensign, looking large, looking swole. For those of you who don't follow Ensign Inoue on Twitter, you're missing out on seeing the various things his pitbull's testicles end up leaning on.
Yeah.
So I do want to make some mentions on who's in the chat here. We've got Gotan's The Last Super Saiyan. I thought Gotan's had quit YouTube. He's back, I guess, though.
Apparently, no. Yeah, he was on mine last time. And we've got Slothmaster. Slothmaster, you've won, because he tuned in to watch me watch UWFI. Slothmaster's won a copy of Hollow Knight, but he hasn't sent me a message, so I can't send him the Steam key yet. Slothmaster, send me a fucking message on Twitter so I can send you the Steam key.
Just giving out prizes. You watched UWFI? I haven't been paying that much attention. I'm gonna have to go check that out. If you are watching UWFI, I gotta check that out. We also have DG. He's new to the channel. He says, "Sup, y'all? New to the gang. Just found the channel last week. We're so glad you did, DG. I'll make you a moderator in just a little bit." Also, Ye Lord's in the chat. He's also here, like chatting live. So he's two places at once. And HHC is here, and We Are Rising podcast, the other half of the We Are Rising podcast is here. So hey!
We've got bearded Randy Couture here. Not the classic Randy Couture look, the male pattern baldness Randy Couture look going on.
Yeah, he's holding on hard to those last few strands of hair. And hey, it's Mark Coleman.
Friend of the show, Mark Coleman.
Yeah, friend of the show, Mark Coleman.
Excellent. Shudo's done a wonderful job. Last year, I fought in Japan.
So, Alistair,
fought Frank Shamrock, and it was a very
had
good fight,
Shudo was back to promoting this. Satoru Sayama, weren't they not promoting the last one, or what's going on there?
So at the end of, I think, 1996, Satoru Sayama was sort of pushed out of the board of directors of Shudo.
Okay. So he's no longer a part of Shudo at all at this point.
I think he's no longer making decisions. He could be like Takada, just sort of showing up, getting a paycheck and being around, but he's not sort of involved in the decision making. I'm not sure what brought that around, but whatever did, he decided that he wouldn't be involved in it anymore.
I guess that would make sense because he did get involved in a whole bunch of other, I thought they were side projects, but they must have been his main projects at the time, like the S Samurai he did.
Ultimate Shootbox or whatever that was called.
That's right, yeah. Ultimate Shootboxing. He did that too. So I guess I thought those were side projects and he was still doing Shuto. I was wrong. Those must have been his main gigs at the time.
Yeah, I think they were.
I do want to say also hello to Eli, Easy the Game Hunter, he's here. And Simon's joined us. Welcome, Simon.
Eli Easy the Game Hunter, he joined me watching the UWFI, and apparently he's a pro wrestler.
I'm sorry, Mr. Fleming, I can't really hear you.
Oh, that's shit.
日本総合格闘技界最高峰の戦いバーリートゥールジャパン
Oh fuck, I guess I'll just talk to the void.
I'll probably answer that question as soon as we get to a match, but I don't know exactly what the hell you asked me, so
That's alright. Don't worry. Just give us your thoughts so far on Vale Tudo Japan.
It really needs more Alexander Otsuka.
Needs more Otsuka, according to Ye Lord. Well, fair enough.
You know, what's his noggin? Lord Honky Humongous. He's probably watching the UFC, as I have bad timing in scheduling. As I decided to schedule this in direct competition with UFC. So.
To be honest, I don't like if you were going to pick a UFC card to have this in competition against, you couldn't have picked a better one because this one's being headlined by Jessica I versus fucking somebody. It's not good. Fight card today.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was going on, to be honest, and until I was on Twitter today and I seen some stuff being posted about it, and I said, huh, that's interesting. To be honest with everybody, I haven't watched UFC for quite a while, so I'm a little bit out of it. But I will say that, you know, I think people, there's people who want to watch the UFC and are diehard fans, and then there's maybe people who like our channel, who hopefully aren't diehard fans.
People that it doesn't quite line up with. So we've got Cynthia I taking on... No, we've got Jessica I taking on Cynthia Calio. And yeah, it's not a great card.
Yeah, this video, I believe this is a VHS rip. Luckily, I had that because I think the DVD rips are probably a little more condensed. Or I don't know if there is a DVD rip. I think this only exists as a VHS rip. I could be wrong. But it definitely looks like a crappy VHS.
yeah, it does look like a crappy VHS, but that's the reason why this shit is in 720p, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so we've got Carl Uno taking on... What's this guy's name? Ricardo
Uno
Botelho.
versus Ricardo Botelho.
Wait. Should be good. So Carl Uno's in his Keshukai, Wajutsu Keshukai shorts. He trained under Yoshinori Nishi, who fought Hickson Gracie on Vale Tudo Japan 1994.
Carl Uno was just such a... I never realized how skinny he was. Watching him wrestle with... did he team with the Kirisoji at that first Inoki Bumbaye? Like, I couldn't believe how small and skinny he was. He's like emaciated. He's, he looks anorexic at times.
That's true, but there was a time where he wrestled Tsuyoshi Kosaka in rings, and he must have got on the sauce for that one because he came in looking large. Or large for Carl Uno. Like, he didn't look out of place in the ring against Tsuyoshi Kosaka.
He looks bigger here than he would in, say, 2000, 2001. So I wonder if he stopped working out as much or if he just slimmed down to make 145, which I didn't think was a big weight class even in Japan at that time. But I don't know.
Yeah, I can't comment on that one. He was still fighting fairly recently. What was it? 2019 was his last fight?
You could be right. Let's go to the let's go to the stats. Let's see. I'll tell you in just a second.
非常に注目の一番だと思うんですよね。
He had his last fight at Shuto 30th Anniversary Tour Final in November of 2019. He fought Marcus Held, a man who does not have a Wikipedia page. He won via rear naked choke.
Eli E, the game hunter, has asked, there are a lot of events just titled Vale Tudo. How many of them were actually related to each other? So all the Vale Tudo Japan shows were related to each other. Anything in Brazil, probably not. They were all different motions.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the term Vale Tudo was more of a general description for MMA, the style of MMA.
I think it just means free fight.
Yeah, okay. You could be right. I don't know if it translates into anything. You'd have to correct me if it actually translates to something. But yeah, I think there was a variety of companies that used the term Vale Tudo. Now, Vale Tudo Japan was re-emerged later in the 2000s, but I think it's a different company that's doing it now.
I think it's still run by Shudo Japan, but I think Shudo Japan's gone through a different ownership. Like it had a big hiatus and then got back because somebody bought the name.
What is this other guy's name? His name is Mark.
Ricardo Botelho.
Ricardo Botelho. Okay. Oh, you know what? I won't say it, but Botelho. It's actually pretty close to the Colombian Good Vibes' actual last name. Wherever the Colombian Good Vibe was, bitching about the fact that he wasn't invited to the stream tonight, and of course he doesn't show up anyway.
Ricardo Botelho, looking like a jiu-jitsu man here, sitting on his ass and going, "Oh, climb into my guard," and making the fight as boring as possible. How dare he?
Now, what is Carl Uno's background? Do you know?
So Carl Uno, I know he trained under Yoshinori Nishi with the Wajutsu Keshukai school there, so same school as Akira Soji and a couple of other guys. He also worked with Rumina Sato and trained a bit with Satoru Sayama, I think.
We Are Rising podcast in the chat did say Shuto. I stand corrected, I think, when he was asking about a question earlier. And then, right after that, Andrew Novak, who I believe might be new to the channel. Thanks for joining. And Andrew, he says, pretty sure Vale Tudo means
something about
anything
Cal
goes.
Uno, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but it's kind of my thing, even though y'all probably can't hear me over the sound of this event. But I just realized that Cal Uno, was well decorated. Obviously, he was a judoka beforehand, but he was a well decorated shoot fighter, and obviously, he was well trained in catch wrestling as well.
So I pause it there real quick. Chris, buddy, is it too loud? Can you not hear?
I'm sorry. I cannot. I can barely hear y'all conversate over this glorious action right about now, but still.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it down a little bit, so that won't be a problem anymore. Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm used to hearing people talk over me anyways.
The problem is I do not want this to be too low for the audience to hear.
We can understand that, even though there's no copyrighted music on this event, right?
No, there should not be. I don't think so.
Right.
We should be okay.
Yeah.
So I'll hit play now. I think it just went. I increased the volume. Sorry. I'll turn this up so people can hear. Hopefully they can still hear it in the stream. Sorry, everybody.
That'll be all right. I'm sure they tuned in to hear us rather than.
I'm sure that's the case.
So can you hear us now, Chris, or are we still non-existent?
I can hear y'all, but at like 75%.
That might be a Discord thing too, as well.
I think that might have to be enough.
I'll goof around with that to see if I can get that figured out.
So Slothmaster 101 says that Carl Uno wrestled in school, which makes sense because a lot of the more successful Japanese fighters did have solid wrestling, and I do remember him having nice takedowns. But as I said, Ricardo Botelho determined to make this fight shit by sitting on his ass and up kicking at Carl Uno, and finally decides to stand up. The bitch that he is. Charging in with some strikes here, going for a takedown. Carl Uno tries for a wizard throw, working that wrestling background. Dead. Definitely think he's wrong. He's thinking about a knee bar here. Like the way he's just hunched over to the side and looking at that leg, I was thinking he's gonna roll for the knee bar, but he seems to have decided against that.
Now, you know what? Here, this might help. Is I might mute my stream, guys. So maybe Chris will be.
I didn't hear that at all. Most dangerous man alive today. Sorry.
Okay, so I muted myself on accident, so I'm gonna have to unmute myself. I was gonna say I was gonna try to mute the my screen so you guys, so Chris might be able to hear better, but I'm just gonna leave it alone for now.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely. Yeah, this is just the life of live streaming. Just everything will just go to shit as it always does.
So this fight is not very good.
Yeah, it's not super great. Ricardo Botelho, he's obviously he have his record open here. Let's have a look. So he fought 4 times before. He won a couple of decisions on Shudo shows. He'd lost to Ruben Osato by heel hook in the 3rd round, and he'd beaten a guy called Cristiano Franca at Universal Vale Tudo Fighting 4. So another promotion with Vale Tudo in the name. But yeah, he wasn't half as experienced as Carl Uno, and he's obviously not super excited.
This kind of reminds me of a fight we saw last Vale Tudo Japan when Sakurai fought Marcelo Aguilar, which you could see that Sakurai, much like Carl Uno here, actually wants to fight standing up, but his opponent wants to fight on the ground.
Well, of course he wants to fight on the ground because he's a jiu-jitsu practitioner, ain't he?
They should have got a luta libre guy instead of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, Little Libre guys make for a more exciting fight.
Indeed, indeed.
Mind you, it can also make for shitty, boring ones too. It's honestly a mindset thing of the fighters. There's a lot of fighters that go in there who think, oh, I'm gonna do anything I can to win this fight, or I'm gonna do everything I can to not lose this fight. Whereas for example, I go in and go, yeah, fuck, I'll try this, whatever, and it's worked out about 50% of the time.
And half of that time, when it barely works, people will always tend to fuck up some way, somehow.
Exactly. But yeah, if you're just sitting in here and you're not engaging, you're sitting on your ass like our man Ricardo Botelho is here, you're not winning the fight, and you're doing what's called prevent defense. You're going, I'm going to do whatever I can to not lose, and what it ends up is you just lose in a boring fucking way.
It's interesting how this was a tactic even back in 1998, the early days of the maturing MMA world,
Yeah, back when they had to deal with 3 5-minute rounds for the first time.
Well, part of the issue is the Vale Tudo Japan has different rules to Shudo, so there's no stand-ups in Vale Tudo Japan. What'll happen is they'll go to the ground, and even if there's a stalemate, agreement has been made that the referee won't stand the fighters up, and so it can just stalemate and end up looking like garbage.
Right.
Whereas, let's say, another promotion running at the time, Pancras definitely had stand-ups. They had stand-ups since, I think, the first event. The UFC fairly soon would institute stand-ups. And Pride, they'd work out that having referee stand-ups and yellow cards was important. pretty quickly as well. So we've got a leg entanglement here. We got Ricardo Botelho going for De La Riva guard, doing that new school jiu-jitsu shit, and Carl Luno trying to backstep pass over the top there. Nearly ends up on his ass, but doesn't. Ends up in the guard of our man Ricardo Botelho.
Slothmaster. Oh, you go ahead. He's your buddy. You're giving away prizes and everything to him.
He says he's from the very first amateur shooter contest back in 1986. On Twitter, I have a which is just old school shoot fighting and shoot wrestling photographs. Slothmaster, post that shit to there. I'm gonna link that in the chat so other people can go and check it out because it's a fun little thread.
So I wonder if there's a video of that first ever shoot, though. I wonder if that exists. It would have to somewhere in Japan. I'm sure you might be able to find. If you could search Japanese Google, you might be able to find it.
Exactly.
So I'm almost hesitant to. I'm almost tempted, I should say, to fast forward this fight.
We got Carl Luno going for a heel here, which is cool as fuck. And not selling out on it too hard, which is good to see. Because one thing that can get you fucked over in MMA context is overcommitting to leg entanglements. I've found that out twice. First time I got finished was because I was chasing knee bars the entire time.
Right. Also, by the way, I just typed in the comment section, just in case y'all can't hear me as often as y'all want to, I'll be typing my thoughts in that comment section.
Perfect. Joao Rook trying to invert under here for a knee bar, but he's not going to get that on our man, Carl Luno. So this is good leg lock defense here. What Carl Luno is trying to... Well, just as I said that, he ends up nearly getting swept. What Carl Luno is trying to do is keep the legs separate. Oh, nice kick to the face there. Just soccer kicks him right in his fucking stupid bitch face. But what you got to do, keep weight on your leg and separate the attacker's legs. That way you'll be able to defend the leg lock while not getting leg locked to yourself. Luno, a lot more willing to engage this round than he was in the previous one. I think he's figured out that he's got solid. But despite Ricardo Botelho's willingness to engage on the ground, he's not actually too much of a threat to our man Carl Luno. He's much more willing to get involved in the touch butt bullshit that Ricardo Botelho is doing.
Well, we're gonna head into the third round here. Chris Gary, he said he'll be typing in the chat. Gary, Chris, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure y'all can hear me. I'm just saying if y'all start to lose me, I'll be typing in the chat.
Okay. Great thinking.
And I'm looking up these. And by the way, Sir Gentleman's Combat, I'm looking at these old pseudo clips that you put up on Twitter, and they look pretty intriguing. Who are they, by the way?
So what I've got there's so many photos in there. I've got stuff from Pancras, stuff from Ring, stuff from UWFI. The latest photo I put up there, that's Kevin Jackson when he won his gold or silver medal in the World Championships. So it's just photos from old like Onkatogi, Weekly Pro Wrestling, all those magazines.
I'm looking at the first photo right now. I'm just fucking realizing it's Minoru Suzuki. I hope I don't get my fucking shit tripped because of it.
Fair enough. We got Volkan, Kyoshi Tamura, Maeda, and everything in there.
Hakan Carlson has joined. Hey, welcome back, buddy. Good to see you. He says, hi, everyone.
Hello, Hakan.
Hello.
After Chris.
I think he was just saying hi back.
Fair enough. So we're finally getting some engagement on the ground here, and Carl Luno is elbowing fucking Ricardo Roque in his shit thighs, and Roque he's really just doing prevent defense here. It's the most annoying shit I've seen. I hate when fighters do this.
I'm sure it's comfortable though because of the velvety soft hair of Ricardo's legs. Just sort of cuddling him there.
Yeah. I could be doing that fucking awful thing that leg hair does where it like knits up and balls up in little balls. That'd be, oh god. I can imagine the feeling, right?
So you must have hairy legs. Is that true, Alistair? Oh, he's knocked him out, I think.
He's fucking wrecked him. Go, Carl! Fuck him up, Carl!
Oh, he tapped out.
He knocked him out so hard, he tapped out.
He tapped out to strike.
That's what I call taking the coward play out.
Now, I've tapped the strikes twice. To be fair, I'm an amateur. I'm not fighting on fucking Vale Tudo Japan, and I had work later that week. So, yeah.
So who's that heavy inside? Maybe we'll get a better view here of this giant guy. And who's this? Is that fat Satoru Soyama in his corner?
It could be Akira Soji if we're talking Waijitsu Keshikai. Let's press play and see if we can see from front.
I didn't think Akira Soji was that fat at any time in his life.
It probably must not have been Akira Soji. More like Akira sucked up.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's definitely not Akira Soji. There we are. Our winner in the third round is Carl Uno. And look at that. So the moment he gets that broken...
Not only in the third round, but 2 minutes and 3 seconds into round number 3.
Notice Carl Uno, he looks to the ref after he's clearly knocked this guy out. And this ref, who was one of the worst refs of the Japanese MMA era, the cute little twink with the bow tie. He
says, keep fucking going. He's obviously not done yet.
Watch, he knocks him out, and then he looks to the ref, like ref. He's...
Yeah. Yeah, so the refs in Vale Tudo Japan were lumps of shit. They are so bad.
Basically, they were just like the UFC Just League guy about a decade before that was a thing.
Exactly.
We do have I was going to point out our Vietnam era combat photographer.
Yeah, he's there again.
He's there again.
I think he might be. Well, he's probably not employed by Shooter, but he must be one of the Weekly Pro or Gonkak Togi, one of those magazine photographers. He's a fucking character. I love him.
So here's our post-fight interview. Carl Uno, don't know what he's saying. If you understand Japanese, you're in a better boat than we are.
Well, better than all three of us. I barely even understand the language.
That is to imply that you do understand some Japanese. I guess I know a couple Japanese words.
Well, on the contrary, I do sing along to a few songs in Japanese. I don't quite understand the language, and I've been trying to understand it for about 15 years.
UFC update here, Simon. This is not good news for us, Alistair. Simon says the UFC is wild tonight. All 3 fights have lasted less than a minute. Oh, boy.
Maybe it'll be done in half an hour, and so everybody can watch this instead.
That's right. And I will note...
you know what? The unfortunate fact is the first guy that lost represented a promotion that I followed a little bit too well in Fury Fighting Championship based out of the Houston area. And considering the fact that they had a guy who was already in the UFC and Hurricane Ike Villanueva who lost, they are now 0-2 in bringing fighters into the octagon. And it's pretty goddamn sad because both of them are former champions of that promotion.
I do note this every time. People give the British hard time for their bad teeth. The British ain't got nothing on the fucking Japanese. And their fucked up grills. What is happening with Carl Uno's teeth?
I think it must be part of being in an island nation.
Maybe he needs to probably go see... maybe he probably needs to go see a few dentists, so to speak.
Yes, he is in terrible need of some dentistry work. His teeth are not looking very well there. It must be hard to get a mouth guard in.
He's got to do the Frank Shamrock thing, get adult braces.
Yeah, you know what? That's right. Frank Shamrock did have braces when he was like 30 years old.
Any idea what Botelho is saying? If y'all understand Portuguese,
My Spanish is limited to C, and my Portuguese is limited to I put him in the guard and I do a guillotine.
yeah, my Portuguese is limited to "vamos morrer."
I think the only
That's all about I
Portuguese I know is from Fatal Fury or King of Fighters. Ora, ora, ora!
Fair enough. All right, so we've got Kenji Kawaguchi, who we've seen a couple of times on Vale Tudo Japan before, taking on Vladimir Matyushenko. Vladimir Matyushenko, he was a serious fucking fighter at this point in his career. He was undefeated. No, he was. Yeah, he was at this point. He was undefeated. He'd been fighting on IFC Battle in the Bayou. So he'd won the IFC Battle in the Bayou tournament. He'd fought IFC Cage Combat, beat Anthony Macias twice, and then he'd beaten Joe Pardo at Rumble in Reno. And now he's been brought in to face Kenji Kawaguchi. Kenji Kawaguchi was one half of the absolute...
Come to think of it, I just realized, didn't Matyushenko still live in Belarus at the time? Because I didn't realize that he was from El Segundo, California, or resided there.
I got no idea about him beyond his fight record. I knew he'd shown up in the UFC a couple of times. By a couple of times, I mean he had 2 stints there. He'd fought from UFC 32 to UFC 44, and then he came back after Affliction and fought at UFC 103 to UFC 141. So he's had a long fucking career.
Oh yeah, that he had, and that career lasted from 1997 to 2014.
And he's charging
With
into the
his
clinch
last fight, by the way, being back on April 11, 2014, in a submission loss to now current bare knuckle fighting champion Joey the Mexicutioner Beltran.
I didn't realize Joey Beltran had gotten into knuckle fight. That was quite a nice takedown from after you.
ではですね、ウラジミルゼはトップクラスの選手なんですけど、それに加えてですね、左のフックですか。
I think you just said fair enough. Hey, we got Bookie Bird is in the chat. Hey, Bookie. We also have Thiago Silva, who I'm pretty sure does speak Portuguese. He says "muito bom," whatever the hell that means.
Exactly. This is interesting from Vladimir Matyushenko. He had an Americana behind Kenji Kawaguchi's head and he used it to sweep him. That's pretty fucking cool. I was going to say that the takedown from Kawaguchi was quite nice. But most dangerous man alive today, you should remember Keiji Kawaguchi because he was in that fight against Jan Lamulda where he was getting thrown out of the ring like 5 times and then soccer kicked to death.
He's Mo! He's Mo! He's Mo Howard from the Three Stooges.
Yes, he is. The one with the Mo Howard head.
I will note that Vladimir Matyushenko, he has a victory over Travis MMA Fighting Horror Fulton, and a loss. He's got a loss.
Now, why you gotta call him an MMA? Why you gotta call Travis the Iron Man Fulton an MMA Fighting Horror?
Because he's got like 400
wins or something like that.
He's an MMA Fighting Horror.
What is it, 300 fights now?
Yeah.
Over 300.
Yeah, he's crazy. I would have called Matyushenko a journeyman, but he had only had about a dozen fights up until 2000, and not a whole lot of fights in the early 2000s, only a handful. But he did fight Andrei Arlovsky, Pedro Hizzo. He's got fights against Yuki Kondo. Yeah, he's got some interesting opponents on his. He fought Vernon Tiger White. Wow.
He's fought a who's who. He's sort of an unknown name, and he's just fucking dropped Kenji Kawaguchi. So we're getting a 10 count here.
Jesus. Let me rewind it.
Yeah, rewind that one.
You know what? The funny thing about that is that this was back in the days of Japanese MMA when they allowed these 10 count knockdowns, like it was boxing or something, or kickboxing.
Yeah, so that is kind of weird. That seems to be a shoot style pro wrestling holdover because UWFI rings, they would all do the 10 count after the knockdown. I'm pretty sure UWFI did it as well. But Alistair, you just watched UWFI. Did they have the 10 count knockdown?
They did, yeah. So I think it is a holdover from the original days of the building drama and that sort of thing. But it's interesting how he got dropped. It was a short left hook, and then Vladimir switched stance and hit him with another short right, and that just wobbled him. So maybe he got caught behind the ear, or maybe he's just got no chin.
He actually hit Vladimir with a good. I thought it was a good big looping overhand left, but let's see it again.
Yeah, hook again, and then just a little jab to drop him at the end there. So he must have caught him on the ear with that first punch. He's up. Kawaguchi ain't no bitch. Oh, again. Throwing out fucking Satoru Sayama spinning back kicks.
Yeah, he tried and failed that spinning back kick.
It's definitely a I'm out of ideas kick, that one. Whenever someone who doesn't throw spinning shit throws out a fucking spinning kick, you know they've just run out of things to do. Fucking getting clobbered here by Matyushenko. A referee drags him away this.
Wait, I missed it. Did he get knocked down again?
Yes.
No, he got knocked down again. No, now it's over to knock out.
He couldn't lift his hands.
Vladimir Matyushenko, the janitor, Vladimir Matyushenko, wins this fight over Kenji Kawaguchi in 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
He extends his record at this point to 8-0, which is pretty impressive. Actually, considering the no, not 8-0, 6-0.
Did he have a cut on his back there? What's going on? Where was that blood on his back?
I think that was out of his nose.
Oh, came from his nose.
Out of Kenji Kawaguchi's nose.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say we get cut with a nail.
So in my second fight, I busted the guy. I blew his mouth up, so blood was leaking out of his mouth, and I didn't realize I had just a ton of it all over my back. And then in my third win, I choked a guy so hard that all the nose, all the blood vessels in his nose burst. And so I thought I just had a little bit of blood on my front. And then I go out the back and have a look, and I've just got this massive stain all the way down my side. It was fun.
He's speaking. What are they speaking? Belarus, Russian, or
I think
they speak Belarusian.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay, I imagine
Russian. Kenji Kawaguchi, sad. Kenji hasn't had a good run at the Vale Tudo Japan shows because he's got wrecked by Jan Lamulda. Let's have a look. Got wrecked by Jan Lamulda. He beat Tommy Walking Stick. He beat Jan Lamulda. He got wrecked by Matyushenko. So he's 2-2.
Before he had entered any of the Vale Tudo Japans, he was undefeated with 4 draws. But his record wasn't too bad. But then after he actually started coming into the Vale Tudo, his record did not turn out that well.
Shudo, before Vale Tudo Japan, they didn't have a super wide and deep talent pool. It was just kind of the same guys fighting each other over and over again. Here we have
Our next fight is Brandon Lee Hinkle versus Masanori Suda.
So Masanori Suda, those who follow Pride Resurrection closely will remember him because he fought in the Lumax Cup Tournament of J 1996, which I think was my third video for you guys.
How could anybody forget that, Alice?
He lost in the finals to Lump of Shit Snake Kuda by heel hook.
For Brandon Lee Hinkle, this is his second professional fight. He's fought once before. He fought Ebenezer Fontes Braga at IVC 6, The Challenge, earlier, just a couple months earlier in August of '98. So this is his second fight.
And this was long before Hinkle would even discover or even think about getting into Team Hammer House. By way of him being from Jefferson, Ohio, he is from Weirton, West Virginia.
Fair enough.
You know what I've always wondered? Oh, wait, before you continue, Alistair. Hammer House and West Sims. I'll pause this here. Wes Sims is. I've never realized how close he was with Mark Coleman and the Hammer House. I always thought Wes Sims was just a giant fucking doofus. Like he never had any respect for me, especially after just his the way he acted in The Ultimate Fighter when he was in that season. I just thought he just.
Oh, you mean like how he was supposed to be a big shot, knowing that there were plenty of other people willing to knock him down?
Yeah, exactly. He came off as just over egotistical, but then the fact that he was, I had to rethink that after seeing that he was so close with Hammer House in the years prior, you know, like seeing him in the corner of Mark Coleman at Pride and whatnot, and Kevin Randleman in the Prides. But I still think he's a giant fucking doofus.
According to Phil Baroni, Hammer House was literally just a heavy bag on Mark Coleman's front porch. Like, there wasn't a fucking gym.
I mean, come to think of it, have you heard Phil Baroni say any nice things about Team Hammer House?
I don't listen too much to Phil Baroni, but nice takedown from Brandley Hinkle, and he's into the he's, as much as we say not quite yet with Mark Coleman, he's doing the Mark Coleman thing of just trying to can open Kenji Kawaguchi here. Kenji Kawaguchi, Masanori Suda here.
I think at this stage of MMA, you could still see guys tap out to the can opener, the neck crane. Yeah. Although I would say it wouldn't take long before people wised up and it started being a move that you could only use on amateurs in the gym and not any professional.
You know what? It still works. Like, people talk shit about the scarf hold lock. So, you know, like the judo pin where you've got the arm and the head and then you, like, squeeze the absolute shit out of the person and then they'll tap. Yeah. That was always considered, like, an amateur move. But then Josh Barnett pulls it out against Dean fucking Lister and gets the sub with that. So, any move applied correctly against a person who is sufficiently tired or sufficiently out of position will work. Whether or not it's high percentage is it.
I agree. Yeah. I don't know why the neck scarf gets such a bad rep. I always thought it was pretty effective. And it's something that's not utilized a whole lot anymore. So I think guys might have been ill prepared for it if somebody really started busting it out and started using it. Like some of the submissions as Lee Hinkle is destroying.
Fucking clubbing Masanori Suda. Really working that wrestler ground and pound style of just, oh, yep, I'm in your guard, but I'm going to punch you fucking hard in the face. So my thoughts on that is it's a judo move, and when applied incorrectly, your back is very exposed. Like, it's very easy to take the back from that position. The issue is, of course, that immediately gets written off by a bunch of BJJ idiots who are like, oh, no, don't do that ever. It'll get your back taken. The same as fucking leg locks. Like, until not even the early 2000s, until like 2015, 2016, jiu-jitsu guys are like, oh no, don't do leg locks, they don't work, they don't improve your position. And then fucking along come the fucking, as much as I hate giving the Danaher fucking bunch any sort of credit, along comes Danaher, along comes fucking Toquinho, fucking Rusma Polaris, just wrecking people with fucking leg locks, and then all of a sudden, just you watch any fucking jiu-jitsu show at the moment, and it's just leg locks, leg locks, leg locks. So a lot of stuff got written off by the fucking cult mentality that permeates a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu schools.
Oh, I thought you mean the cult mentality of Lupa zombies.
What, sorry?
I thought you meant the cult mentality of Zupa zombies, as in UFC movies.
Well, fuck them as well. Anybody who will report something without testing it themselves. Masanori Suda here selling out on this Kimura, and you can see the vascularity in the arm of Brandon Lee Hinkle clamps down on that and trying to stop Masanori Suda hitting this double wrist lock here. Suda not in a good position here. He's too straight underneath Brandon Lee Hinkle to finish this, and Hinkle, like, he looks like a strong corn-fed middle American boy. He's not going to get submitted by that. Now Suda might be able to do better. He's feeling his hips back. He'll be able to get a little bit more torque on it now. Lee Hinkle making faces of effort here. But there's a big fucking mouse growing under the eye.
Holy shit, his eye is blown up. Wow.
That thing is fucked. He must be breathing out of his nose as well, because it's like inflating as we see.
Yeah.
Hinkle manages to get the pass. Knee Suda right in the fucking head. Oh, ouch. Him again. Sprawls on that takedown. Suda, I play to him. He's fucking trying for it. Tried for a leg scissors there and then ends up on the bottom in guard.
I think at this point, Brandon's aggression is too much for him. He's just outpacing him, making him work, and I think he's just too much.
At this point, so, going for the flower sweep. I mean, cool, good effort. Now trying to invert underneath Brandon Lee for a knee bar. Really going for that knee bar. That is nice. Then Brandon Lee Hinkle nearly fleeing out of the fucking ring. Hold from Masanori Suda. Really nice stuff. But he's all crumpled up underneath Hinkle, and now he's just going to get punished. This happened to me in my first loss.
So I wonder what his background is. Is he a Takada dojo?
Masanori Suda, not that I know of. Association with Club J. Let's have a look at them. No one that I know of. I don't think he has a Wikipedia page, so I can't tell you where he trained.
And that's just about it. Brandon Lee Hinkle was this fight in 5 minutes and 26 seconds.
Fucking brutal there. Just axe kicks him in the fucking head to finish the fight. And you see here the weirdness of the rules of Shudo. So if you knock someone out on the ground, you don't get a count. That fucking axe kick was mean. Yeah, so if you knock someone out on the ground, they don't get a 10 count. But if you knock them down from standing up, they get a 10 count to try again. But look at this fucking kick from bang! And then the axe kick, whack, whack, whack.
It just comes out of nowhere, yeah. And you hear Mark Coleman go, "Whoo!
Ooh, yeah!" Wait, yeah, fucked him up there. Poor old Masanori Suda, and his face is leaking blood all over that corner.
His eye finally popped. It was bound to happen, unless it's his nose now.
Both. But that was a good fight. Definitely a palate cleanser from our first one.
So I guess I'm still confused about the damn rules of this promotion.
They make no sense. But that's part of MMA at this period in time.
I wonder if even in Japan during Pride era, if axe kicks like that on the ground were legal. I don't even think they were, but I have to be honest, I don't know for sure. I never seen anybody really try that I can think of.
We can have some fun tonight.
I don't have a great memory of it. I know in Pancras, when they had the Pancration rules in like late 1998 to early 2000s, there are definitely a couple of moments with that. There's Ikehisa Minoa versus Andre Serrano. Serrano's axe kicking him in the face on the ground, and then Minoa looks him dead in the eye and then cranks the shit out of an inverted heel. Serrano taps. Minoa was in some of the best fucking Pancration rules fights. There's this one against Chris Lytle. He's trying to toe hold Chris Lytle. Chris Lytle punches him in the face, so he grabs Chris Lytle behind the collar, and then from toe hold position, it butts him like 5 or 6 times. It's super great.
So is that why the headbutts from that onto what Pancras was that? I'm gonna pause it here because my fave, Yuhi Sano, when he got his head busted open by Kenichi
Kiichiro Yamamiya,
yeah, Kiichiro Yamamiya. That's right. So that was that era where they allowed that stuff in Pancras, like fully allowed.
Yeah, so that was like no biting, no eye gouging, no nut shots, no hair pulling, no strikes to the back of the head. Otherwise, everything fucking went.
And now it makes sense. I always wondered why it was allowed that he was headbutting him and the ref wasn't doing anything about it. Now I know why. Thanks.
Headbutting a fucking crater into poor Yuhi Sano's
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what? Come to think of it, one more thing before we get to the next card, and you can go ahead and pause this real quick. But one more thing, I did not know, and I'm reading this from Slothmaster 101 right now. is that Brandon Lee Hinkle was a former college tennis champion before getting into mixed martial arts. Do you think that would have probably been part of the reason why he had all that pent up rage to be a scary dude?
Well, it kind of sounds like the other
Is it an Egan?
Egan Inoue. He was a racquetball champion in the 1980s before he took up mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
People say that like college wrestling is the best background for MMA. Obviously untrue. It's college tennis or fucking racquetball.
Right, exactly.
Oh dear. So we've got Jean-Jacques Machado taking on Frank Trigg. Jean-Jacques Machado. Exactly, twinkle toes. Fucking photos of Frank Trigg's dick are out on the internet for anybody who wants to see.
No, do not. No, why'd you have to bring that up?
I'm glad to be back.
That's just life being in MMA. You're gonna see some shit. But Jean-Jacques Machado, excellent jiu-jitsu guy. Very important to the thing of jiu-jitsu outside of Brazil. Like most guys from Australia who have a jiu-jitsu lineage, they go through the Machado brothers. We have to blame Jean-Jacques Machado for the creation of Eddie fucking Bravo.
Oh god, the less said about Eddie Bravo, the better.
So I'll put it to this: Eddie Bravo is a good jiu-jitsu coach, obviously. He was a good promoter. I quite like the Eddie Bravo Invitational and the combat jiu-jitsu shows. But he's now no longer a good promoter because he's putting on this fucking jiu-jitsu overtime bullshit, which is just the overtime rules from Eddie Bravo Invitational. There's no grappling competition. Just start on the back or start in an armbar, and then you try and submit the other person, then the other person gets... That's his idea for his next show. How ridiculous is that?
And you know what? The funny thing about Frank, I mean, by the way, we'll get back a little bit to Jean-Jacques Machado in a little bit because this was his one and only mixed martial arts fight. But what I got from Wikipedia is the fact that this was Frank Trigg's fifth professional mixed martial arts bout. Obviously, he won the United Shoot Wrestling Federation tournament on the 7th United Shoot Wrestling Federation tournament on October 18th, 1997. And he won his first fight in Shudo, which was his first trip to Japan, about 5 months earlier. And it would also be a year before he would get into Pride FC for the first time.
So Frank Trigg is... So, United Shoot Wrestling Federation, does anyone have any of those shows? Because that's where Steve Nelson, who you interviewed for it as well.
I wish Lord Humongous Honky, Lord Honky Humongous, he might have copies of these fucking videos. I want to see him too.
Right. He owes me a couple, because I've traded the Storm Damage events I fought on, and all of rings to him, so he owes me a couple.
Storm Damage!
Storm fucking Damage. The greatest fight promotion.
He'd asked me for a Brawl in the Ballpark, and I told him I was going to upload it for him and give it to him. I didn't realize I could trade with him. I'll have to ask him and see what he's got in his fucking stash.
I think I got...
After you, Chris.
I think I got the Brawl in the Ballpark thing saved to the favorites of Focus Fights on the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay, so it is up there now, so okay, he probably doesn't need it anymore.
Probably got it. Jean-Jacques Machado has a birth defect. On his right hand, he's only got his thumb and a pinky. So he's constantly making the jiu-jitsu hang loose.
The Hang 10? You mean the Hawaiian Hang 10 sign?
And he credits that with why he won the first ADCC that he went in. Everybody else was used to gripping gis, whereas he'd never gripped a gi in his entire life because he has no fingers. Jesus. He always had to work overhooks and underhooks, and that's how he had to fight. He's doing his best to take down Frank Trigg here, but Frank Trigg, was he D1 wrestler? Or he was a championship, or maybe he was championship D? Yeah, he was a fucking solid wrestler. Not going to take him down, Jean-Jacques, sorry.
A unified shoot wrestler.
A UWFI shoot wrestler.
At school as well. But, yeah. Anybody who knows, probably Slothmaster, tell me what were Frank Trigg's college wrestling credentials? And Gotans is off. See you later, dude.
Bye,
Thanks for tuning in.
Gotans.
We love having you.
We
on
love
the show.
you. We love you, Gotans.
Glad to have him back on YouTube. After his,
We're
what,
so
2 or 3
glad.
week
I was
hiatus.
so sad when he said he was going away for a while. Gotans, I love you.
We love you. So elevator hooks from Jean-Jacques Machado here, working the butterfly guard, and you can see he's got those overhooks because he has no fingers. So he's got fingers in his right hand. He has no fingers in his.
They should have took some of his toes and gave him a fucking transplant. Just he'd have toe fingers. So.
Slothmaster, I knew he'd come through. Frank Trigg was an All-American wrestler and a second dan in. What am I, judo? I'm a fucking yellow belt. My belt is piss yellow in judo. So Jean-Jacques Machado trying for the razor arm lock on the fucking He-Man arms of Frank Trigg, but Trigg too vascular, too big. Nice sweep defense from Frank Trigg there, floats all the way over. Big knee to the body there. Those must fucking hurt. And Jean-Jacques Machado selling out on this low single, trying to go to. He was trying to go to guard, but he's held on that, gone to the standard close guard. Not a good place for him. Jean-Jacques Machado had actually been in Shuto once before, not in an MMA fight, but he'd grappled Yuki Nakai and submitted him out a minute and a half of the trial. You can hear the sounds of
my son. My son, he's driving a little Lightning McQueen, like his sit-down car.
Okay.
And he doesn't have any pants on. He went to the bathroom, and he's taken off his shorts and his underwear, and he's sat down in the car without his. I said, all right, whatever. Right now it's my wife. His mom's birthday is tomorrow, and she went out with her friends tonight, and she took our baby daughter, so that's why I got some. It's not his birthday. It's my wife's birthday. He always wants it. Anytime there's anybody's birthday, he wants it to be his birthday so he can get presents.
Fair enough.
You know what? Thankfully for me, this is why I don't have kids. I do have nephews, nieces, and cousins, but thankfully I don't have kids, so I can't tell you. I know how you feel.
Oh, I love him. He's such a special little guy.
Nice leg kicks from Frank Trigg here. Really interesting grappling fight we're having so far. Like jiu-jitsu versus wrestler in microcosm. Oh, big knee there from Trigg. That one must have hurt. According to Thiago Silva, Jacques Machado said that this was his greatest mistake for him at the time. I wonder what his justification for that.
Maybe his greatest mistake because he should have never went into MMA and be exposed.
Exactly, especially considering that this was his one and only fight.
Maybe excuse me going up against the caliber of Trigg. Like if he had started out against like a debut fighter, maybe that would be.
I think we're gonna get a rant. What's up, Chris?
Okay, I'm ready. Hands away.
Rant. We'll wait. He's unless he muted himself. You okay? Did you hurt your dinghy?
Rant first, Chris. Rant.
All right. When he comes back, he's gonna be full barrel, just locked, and he's gonna. We'll
tune him up. Jean-Jacques Machado inverting for a knee bar here, doing his best, but doing worse than Kenji Kawaguchi. Nice inversion there, but it's the base of Frank Trigg, very strong. And that is the end of our first round. Fucking Frank Trigg got that Vince McMahon approved body. Got some good mass and some capped deltoids, so potentially on some sauce.
He's got Tom Erickson in his corner.
Yeah, the big cat.
Yeah, big cat. The music though, it sounded like a machine gun here when after it ends here. I want to go back to this. It's like.
Duh. Idea. Mr. Andy Jeezy has posted a video of Frank Trigg being given a nap in a judo competition. Watch that one later on.
All right, so Chris is still in the Discord, but he's not there. I mean, he's there, but he's not there.
Nah, I'm still here.
Oh, he's there.
Told y'all I had to. Shit. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry for being winded and all that. I mean, I do have asthma after all, but I had to go get some water as well.
Oh, okay.
Just to make sure I don't feel winded and parched.
When you do this rant?
Exactly. It's a rant. We teed you up for a rant about jiu-jitsu guys and MMA.
Yeah, we teed you up because it sounded like you were going to go off on fucking Jacques Machado here.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to go all the way off, but I'll say this. Frank Trigg did do professional wrestling for TNA, but it wasn't truly a mistake. It was a way for him to get himself over. If Jacques Machado said that doing mixed martial arts was a mistake, then maybe he should have reconsidered, figuring out how the fuck to get Eddie Bravo over, because maybe that should have been his biggest mistake of his career.
That is definitely his biggest fucking mistake.
As my son, I had to mute myself from from the YouTube here because my son is just going off, and I didn't want to have him talking over Chris's rant there. This reminds me of that karate champ that fought Vanderlei Silva, and it was his one and done MMA fight, and it was a huge mistake because it exposed himself. But anyway, that's what it reminds me of.
Understood. And when was this in Pride or
it was in Pride. It was in Pride. The guy's name is on the tip of my tongue, but I don't care to remember it because who gives a shit?
A big knee from Frank Trigg. Like, he is just wrecking John Jack. A good time. Jacques going for the leg locks again. All these jiu-jitsu guys going, oh, leg locks don't work. And then the moment they get beaten up, they go, oh, hold on. Let's try this leg locking shit again. Maybe it'll work this time. Just irritates. Frank Trigg, doesn't Frank Trigg have a tramp stamp these days?
Yeah, he does. It's just the fact that nobody wants to see it other than his wife.
Fair enough. Frank Trigg wrestling in TNA. I don't remember Frank Trigg's wrestling in TNA was any good, but I know that Kiko was absolute dog shit.
Well, I mean, don't you think that his run in MLW kind of resembles that?
I haven't seen that.
I
don't look too much at American.
Understood.
I'm all about the Japanese stuff from the 1990s, but anything after than that, I just don't.
You know what, Mr. Fleming? I think I should, send you something from what happened recently. I could send you that knockout match that King Mo had with Low Key, a.k.a. Brandon Silvestri. You'll probably get a kick out of how awful King Mo's wrestling has been since his TNA.
Because he's not safe. I like the way he does it, but I think he's too high on his own, like, oh, I'm a sick martial artist idea.
I will say hello to Mr. Andy Jeezy. I think, is this the first time we've seen Mr. Andy? Anyway, Andy, welcome. He says Trigg is an MMA ref nowadays. Is that still true? Is he still an active MMA ref? I thought he only did a couple.
Well, he's only active in California, from what I heard. I mean, I heard him do a podcast recently say he can't go over to Japan. I mean, he can't go over to Japan and fight and then go over thinking that he can do the same in America, because then he'll lose his refereeing license.
Wait, what? So he can't fight in Japan because they won't allow him to be a referee anymore?
Well, yeah. Basically, I mean, if the California State Athletic Commission sees that he's still fighting while trying to do this refereeing shit, he's pretty much done as a referee.
That's they should call it the California Criminal Athletic Commission.
The fucking California
Yeah,
Athletic
no
Commission,
shit.
Yeah, they are a bunch of cunts.
In Australia, in New South Wales, if you're a pro fighter, you can be a referee or whatever. Like I am registered as I'm registered, and can register myself as a fighter. I just can't fight as a fighter on that I'm.
All right, Alistair, I don't know if your wireless internet is acting up, but we only caught part of that.
It's fucking Australia. I'm halfway around the world. That's why.
That could be it.
I'll start again. I am registered as everything you can be. I am registered free, a judge, a fighter, and a cornerman. And not yet the promoter, but I'll do that when I've got some extra money lying around. I'll register as a promoter. Well, the only restriction there is that if I am promoting a show, I can't fight professionally on that show that I am promoting. That's the only restriction that there is.
Okay. So hey, is that all it is to do all that in Australia? Is you just got to pay up for that shit to be licensed as
So for being a fighter, you have to have a certificate of fitness and then work done every 6 months. It's 3 months if you're a pro. Be a referee, you have to be registered under another association. So I'm registered under Martial Arts Sport Athletics Association, MASA, and then I'm registered under them. So then I register. To be a cornerman, I have to have a first aid certificate, current, and CPR certificate, current. And to be a promoter, you have to have a national police. So, outstanding.
All right, you're still cutting out. I'm sorry, buddy. We heard. We get the gist. We got the gist of it.
Yeah, that we do.
There's a bit to do. There's a fair bit of paperwork to fill out and fucking forms to fill in. And the Combat Sports Association, they're really bad about keeping stuff up to date. Like if every show I've been on, apart from one, I've had to call them up and go, I've submitted all my stuff and you haven't ticked me up on it yet. What the fuck's going on? 2 or 3 weeks out. I do that ahead of time so that my fights and my shows ahead.
Okay, so this kind of sounds like your Russian visa problem that you had, and I was blaming the fact that you didn't bribe the Russians so you could get your visa. Maybe it was the Australian paper filers.
No, that one's all Russians. Fuck, goddamn fucking Russians.
Now, just to be clear, Fleming, are you really, truly a licensed referee?
Yeah, so I've got my MASA, whatever it is, accreditation, so I can referee shows. There haven't been any shows that I've managed to be on to referee.
So, did you need to take an online training course, or like when I got a new job? When I got a job at Office Max, is like an inside sales rep for their corporate side of business. I had to watch a video. Is it at all like that? Did you just sit down and watch a video?
It was a 1-day course, and we did that the day before. The day before was the referee's course, and the day afterward.
Oh, okay. So this is like a hillbilly who runs a karate school in America goes for a 1-day course in Japan to get a black belt.
Exactly. Yeah. So I know. As much as I respect Johnny Anu, the runner of the Martial Arts Sports Association, I know more about mixed martial arts than he does, and he runs the fucking thing. Fucking Frank Trigg, Jesus Christ, he's fucking.
Oh my God!
Maybe and that's why John Jack Machado said it was the biggest fucking mistake of his life.
That's right.
20 seconds into round number 3, Frank Trigg, twinkle toes, wins via corner stoppage. And look at that fucking blood.
I think that's
we're
why.
at least 1 or 2 on the Muda scale there. That is a lot of blood. He's got fucking KG Mudo red mask on his face there. Jesus.
Yeah. Maybe because he thought he had a pretty face before this fight. I had news for him. He wasn't that good looking.
Let's see how this cut. No, it's that knee that opens that cut there.
He starts.
He's
like
gushing
a
already.
Stuck pig.
Ah, that is really rough. Like that must be right on the artery.
Oh.
He beat so much blood out of him, he almost thought he was getting back to a blood bank.
Yeah.
Ric Flair would be proud of that blade job.
Did you see how they weren't? Now when they threw the towel in, they weren't throwing in the towel to stop the fight. They were throwing in the towel to
chucking it in to get the blood.
To clean up the blood. To clean up.
Because watch, it's like a laser. It goes right, not like to get the ref's attention. It goes right into where the blood is.
Like, here you go. We're just throwing in this nice little souvenir for you to clean up all this red goo.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's
Good
bad.
job.
Holy shit. Well done, Frank Trigg. God.
And I'm looking at the comments now. Mr. Andy Jeezy says Frank Trigg would have